Niger is embarking on one of the boldest industrial projects in its modern history, a massive oil refinery in the Dosso region that promises to reshape not only the nation's economy, but also the energy landscape of the entire Sahel. President General Abdourahmane Tchiani has announced the construction of a new refinery that will produce up to 100,000 barrels of fuel per day. This ambitious project aims to serve Niger's domestic needs while also supplying neighboring countries Burkina Faso and Mali, two close allies within the Alliance of Sahel States. More than an industrial undertaking, this initiative represents a defining moment in the pursuit of energy independence, regional integration, and African self-reliance. The Dosso refinery, located in southwestern Niger, has been carefully planned as a complement to the existing Soraz refinery in Zinder, which refines about 20,000 barrels per day. While Zinder meets much of Niger's internal demand, Dosso will be built to serve a broader purpose, producing enough refined fuel not only for local use, but also for export across the Sahel. The plan aligns with Niger's vision of becoming a key energy supplier for its neighbors. The refinery's location near transport corridors connecting Niger with Burkina Faso and Benin makes it an ideal hub for cross-border trade and fuel distribution. For decades, Niger's oil sector has remained underdeveloped, even though the country holds vast reserves. The discovery of the Agadem oil fields in the east brought hope, but most of Niger's crude oil has historically been exported unrefined or refined in small quantities. By building a second and larger refinery, the government is taking a decisive step toward capturing more value from its natural resources. The refinery's design is modular, meaning it will start with an initial phase of around 30,000 barrels per day before expanding to the full 100,000 barrel capacity. This approach allows flexibility, reduces upfront costs, and ensures that Niger can scale production as demand grows across the region. General Tchiani's administration has made resource sovereignty one of its guiding principles since assuming power. The idea is simple but transformative. Africans must process and benefit from their own resources instead of relying on others to do it for them. The Dosso refinery perfectly embodies that vision. It is part of a wider national policy to create jobs, improve living standards, and ensure that fuel shortages and price volatility become a thing of the past. Energy independence has always been a cornerstone of true sovereignty, and Niger is positioning itself to lead by example. The project's regional implications are just as important. Within the Alliance of Sahel States, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, there has been a strong drive to build joint economic frameworks that serve the shared interests of their populations. All three nations face similar challenges: underdeveloped infrastructure, external pressure, and limited access to refined energy. The refinery in Dosso could transform that situation. By supplying Mali and Burkina Faso with diesel, gasoline, and kerosene, Niger will not only strengthen regional ties but also establish a new economic lifeline for the Sahel. This refinery also represents an important shift in Africa's approach to industrialization. Across the continent, nations are beginning to realize that exporting raw materials and importing finished goods creates a permanent dependency. From Nigeria's massive Dangote refinery to new projects in Angola and Senegal, the trend is clear. African countries are building refineries and petrochemical plants that keep more profits at home. Niger's move fits perfectly into this continental awakening. According to the Ministry of Petroleum, the Dosso project is more than a simple refinery. It will include a petrochemical complex capable of producing a variety of byproducts, such as lubricants and industrial chemicals. This could eventually lead to the creation of secondary industries, from plastics manufacturing to construction materials. Officials say this diversification will strengthen Niger's economic base, reduce unemployment, and attract skilled workers from across the region. Cooperation with Algeria is also being explored, especially in areas like training and technology transfer, which could give Nigerian engineers valuable experience and expertise. The construction phase is expected to generate thousands of jobs. Welders, electricians, engineers, truck drivers, and suppliers will all benefit directly. Local businesses providing cement, steel, catering, and logistics will see new demand. Once operational, the refinery will create permanent employment and provide training opportunities for young Nigerians eager to work in modern industry. The government views this as an opportunity not just to refine oil, but to refine the nation's human capital. The economic benefits are expected to be substantial. By reducing dependence on imported fuel, Niger will save millions in foreign currency every year. Domestic prices are likely to stabilize as the nation gains control over its fuel supply chain. Exporting refined fuel to its neighbors will also generate new streams of revenue, increasing the state's ability to invest in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Experts believe that the refinery could become one of Niger's most valuable assets within a decade, contributing significantly to the country's gross domestic product. Beyond economics, the refinery carries deep political symbolism. It represents a new kind of leadership in the Sahel, leadership that seeks cooperation rather than competition and self-reliance rather than dependency. The AES countries have increasingly distanced themselves from former colonial powers and are focusing on building their own regional institutions. Projects like this refinery are the backbone of that transformation. They send a message that African nations can collaborate on complex industrial ventures without relying entirely on foreign capital or direction. Still, the journey ahead will not be without challenges. Building a 100,000-barrel-per-day refinery requires enormous funding, advanced engineering, and tight project management. Security is another serious consideration. Parts of Niger and its borders with Burkina Faso remain exposed to armed groups, and safeguarding the construction site, pipelines, and transport corridors will be crucial. The government has already begun deploying additional forces in the area to secure strategic infrastructure and ensure uninterrupted progress. Financially, the project will demand strategic partnerships. Niger may look toward both public and private investors within Africa and friendly nations abroad. Phased construction could make the project more manageable, allowing early returns from the first production module to support expansion. Authorities insist that every phase will be executed with transparency and oversight to avoid the corruption that has derailed similar projects elsewhere. If all goes according to plan, the Dosso refinery will transform Niger from a crude exporter into a refined product producer, giving it far greater control over its economy. It will also bring tangible relief to the people of Burkina Faso and Mali, who have struggled with erratic fuel supplies for years. Truck drivers, farmers, and manufacturers across the region could soon rely on affordable, regionally refined fuel, boosting productivity and lowering costs. On a broader scale, the project is part of a continental pattern of reawakening. Africans are beginning to understand that controlling the chain, from extraction to production to export, is the only way to achieve real independence. For Niger, this refinery represents both pride and progress. It stands as a monument to a new era where African nations no longer accept the role of suppliers of raw materials, but aspire to be producers of finished goods. The social impact will be equally important. Local communities around Dosso will benefit from new roads, schools, and health facilities built as part of the project's development plan. Businesses will thrive as energy becomes more accessible. The refinery could become the nucleus of a larger industrial zone, drawing in factories, transport companies, and research institutions. Over time, this could change the entire economic landscape of southwestern Niger. Despite the scale of the challenges, the momentum is strong. The government's determination, the growing support from Sahel partners, and the shared regional vision make this project more than just a dream. It's a symbol of what can happen when a nation decides to trust its own potential. The refinery's construction is not merely about producing fuel. It's about producing confidence, dignity, and opportunity. For decades, Africa's wealth has been exported while its people remained poor. Niger's project challenges that legacy. It asserts that the time has come for African nations to be masters of their own resources and destinies. If completed successfully, the Dosso refinery will stand as a beacon for other nations seeking economic liberation through industrialization. This refinery could one day power the trucks that connect the Sahel, fuel the generators that light its cities, and drive the machines that build its future. It could reduce the economic isolation of landlocked countries and replace dependency with partnership. More importantly, it could remind millions of Africans that progress begins when a people decide to take control of their own narrative. In many ways, this refinery is more than concrete and machinery. It's a declaration. It declares that Niger and its Sahelian allies are no longer waiting for permission to rise. They are building their own path, one barrel, one factory, one project at a time. It's a story of courage and renewal, of determination forged in the heat of adversity. The refinery in Dosso will not just refine oil, it will refine the future of a region long overlooked, but never defeated. As the world watches, the Sahel is proving that sovereignty is not given. It is built. Niger's new refinery is the latest testament to that truth, a shining symbol of Africa's unyielding will to transform its resources into real, lasting power for its people.